Now that we've determined what size area you have to grow in, let's get down to the next thing, which is containers. You're living in an apartment or you just have a small space, you only want to grow in containers, you only can grow in containers. Maybe you have to have them inside, whatever the reason may be. This episode will concentrate on what containers and how big of a container for the plant that you want to grow. So let's get right down to it. There are all kinds of containers. You've got plastic, clay, fabric, metal, wood. You can take your pick. They are numerous. Just whatever you want. You can grow in windowsill boxes. The possibilities are endless. You can use a swimming pool as a container. Little 1 gallon containers. Oh goodness, the wind. Raised bed. Hanging pots. Smaller containers. 5 gallon buckets. 3 gallon buckets. Turkey fryers. Metal. Fabric container, clay pot, wire container, Dollar Tree containers, bigger pots. Don't mind my sad looking trees, they got caught in a little bit of a freeze the other night. Any size pot you want to grow in, any make or model, it's up to you. We also grow in half of 55 gallon barrels, rusted out wash tubs, my asparagus, full 55 gallon barrels, water troughs. If you go and buy new ones, or if you reuse ones that you get from the nursery, that's completely fine. Whatever you can grow in, grow in. One thing about the pots, the drainage holes. If they don't have drainage holes in them, and you need every container that you grow in needs a drainage. But what you want is to make sure the drainage holes are up on the side, about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch up on the side instead of the bottom. It allows for better drainage. It also keeps that little bit of soil really wet or moist in the bottom, which helps the plants. So make sure your drainage holes are above like 1/4 or 1/2 an inch up the side of the pot. Okay, this one has both, but this is reused, and this one has the drainage holes on the side and one on the bottom, but this will allow better drainage and help your roots grow twice as fast. Things to consider: black pots, clay pots, metal pots. They're all going to dry out quicker than a plastic white 5 gallon bucket. And it's not because of the volume of soil that you have in it, but because of, like, we all know that black draws heat, and that's going to evaporate your water from your plant a lot quicker. So if you have to use black, just remember that you're going to have to water that probably more often than you would a lighter color container or plastic. The clay pots that are not glazed, they just allow water, air, moisture go right through that. It's very porous. So if you're going to grow in clay pots, the glazed is a lot better in retaining moisture. The bigger the pot, the more it will hold water and more plants it will hold. Okay, sorry I had to turn the camera off for a little bit. Let the wind die down a little bit. So where was we? Yeah, you can grow, you got a trash can that has a hole in it, you can plant in it. You can put some gravel in the bottom of this, some stones to help with the drainage. I don't very often. Now I have put some sand in the bottom of them if I have it available, but I usually just put the dirt in it. And remember, speaking of dirt, the bigger your container, the more soil it is going to hold. So if you've got a 5-gallon bucket, then you have like, what, I think it 32 quart of soil, that's gonna fill that bucket up 2 times and a little bit left over. So think about that on how many containers you're gonna have, about how much soil you're gonna need to fill those containers also. When it comes to what size containers to use for which vegetable, first off you need to figure out what vegetables you're wanting to grow. In our containers this year, I believe I'm going to do some peppers, some tomatoes, I'll maybe try a cucumber in a container. I have right back there a couple zucchini plants that I had started in the closet in the house. This is March 31st. They're blooming. Gonna have zucchini before long. Like no time. So you have your containers. You know what you want to plant in them. So how do you match up the plant per container? You want it to have enough room. So a tomato needs like a 5-gallon bucket to grow properly and have a good harvest. Potatoes, they need a little bit more room, like a lot more room. Carrots, the container needs to be taller. Green onions, you don't have to have a very tall container. You don't have to have a tall container for radishes. Actually, radishes and green onions, I know for sure radishes could grow in a foil cake pan from seed to fruition. These little stackable planters, they're only like 3 inches tall. You could grow all your lettuce in those. The bigger pots, you really want to save for like the tomatoes, the squash, the Three Sisters garden. If you have a great big pot, you can do the corn in the top, green beans, and then lettuce or, whatever else, the little radishes, whatever you want to grow in there. But a broccoli plant needs at least a 2-gallon container, and you can grow 1 plant in there. In my raised beds, which they are a lot taller, I grow 1 broccoli per square foot. For a container of 5 gallons, like a 5-gallon bucket or larger, you will be able to grow broccoli, cauliflower, tomatoes, cantaloupe, zucchini, if you want to grow, if you have the space to grow cantaloupe, be careful, because you don't want to have too many vine and plants if you're on a limited space. So like our swimming pool here, we could probably get away with doing lettuces and onions, radishes in that. The bigger pot on the bottom, larger one is very large. Tomatoes, anything deeper would go in that. This one right here, you could probably plant carrots. Probably plant carrots in this raised bed. These pots right here, that's probably 1 gallon, maybe a 2 gallon. You could probably do a pepper in that. The rest of them, I have this. I'm going to try my hand at growing something in that, maybe potatoes. And then stick it in that bag to clean out the light, maybe. Here's our food grade buckets. And my sad lemon tree right now, it got a little frost on it. And my orange tree got a little frost on it. So my food grade 5 gallon buckets. The middle, you can plant radishes. You could plant pepper in the shorter 3 gallon bucket. This one you could plant potatoes in the fabric bucket. So if you're going to get a container garden, get a wide variety of sizes and pots and shapes and sizes. I just collect whatever throughout the year. You can grow in whatever you have available. Is like, don't put a tomato plant in this and think that it's going to be 6 feet tall and the best tomatoes ever, because chances are it's not going to grow very good. It's going to get root bound really quickly because it's so small. You really need to use the appropriate size container for the plant that you're wanting to grow. I want you to be successful in growing whatever you need to grow for yourself and your family, whether it be you're on a lot of acreage or on a little patio or just growing inside your home. Like I said, these those zucchini plants were planted in my closet with a grow light, and this is March 31st. They have blooms on them. One's doing better than the other. In a few videos, I will tell you why. The next video, we are going to concentrate on soil that we're putting in the pots. So with your containers, you want to make sure they have good drainage. They are well watered, good soil, and the appropriate plant for the container size. And I believe that's all. I feel like I'm forgetting something to tell you all. It is March 31st. We are excited to be planting, so prepping our containers, washing them up, getting them soil rich, getting them with soil in them, situating them where we want them. Make sure they have the proper drainage. Because I am growing on the concrete slab, I'm probably going to put my pots up, like put a brick underneath of them or put them on something so they can drain better. I really want to use that turkey fryer that is over there with all the holes in it to grow in this year. I'm not really sure what I want to grow in it and what will grow in it appropriately. So if y'all have any comments, any suggestions, put them in the comments below, please. And I will look them over and see what y'all suggest. Anyways, that's all I have for you right now on containers. Like I said, episode 3 is going to be all about the soil that we're putting in them. So are you ready to grow? Because when the going gets tough, the tough gets growing. Grab your containers, and the next episode, we'll fill them up. Y'all have a great day, and y'all come back.